All righty, here we go. Stochastic. It's Sunday. It's your old pal joined by Gundacker coming off the top ropes. What's going on, Gun? It's been a hot minute since we've done a show together.
Yeah, honestly, literally have no idea when it was, but glad to be here. It's a busy day, and when they reached out to me, I was like, man, I don't know, but I told them what time I need to be out, and we're good. So I'm always down to talk some baseball.
Yeah, and if you guys aren't following Gundacker on Twitter, you seriously need to, at Gundacker. He is a wrestler of note. Big event tonight out there in Texas. I was always worried that the show would be too big for Texas, but it's not. So what tell everybody real quick what you've been up to, because I've been following along. I didn't realize that you were an infamous wrestler.
I mean, I am infamous, maybe. I don't know. I'm humble, but yeah, man, the boyhood dream, man. Every now and then it sparks up, and I was able to overcome an injury lately, and so I made a return to the ring last year. When I won the tag titles, everybody knows, but now I've been kind of on my own a little bit. Got a big one tonight. My opponent and me combined, we're probably over 1,000 pounds, so it's gonna be pretty huge down there in Austin. And I'm looking forward to it. I've been training for this match for about 8 months.
Very exciting stuff. Very exciting stuff. Well, we look forward to a full report. So follow Gundacker at Gundacker on Twitter to check that out. Of course, follow Stochastic at Stochastic_COM. You guys will know every time we go live, post content, etc. You can also subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's free. Hit the notification bell and be aware anytime these shows go live. We are the only show. Today, we're in the dog days of summer here, but NFL training camps are starting up. We're going to have preseason football here shortly. Best ball season is upon us, and we've got the Women's World Cup as well for soccer. So there's lots of good stuff going on. I want to remind everybody that we do have a podcast network out there that you can listen to. That is where we carry a lot of our different content, from the high stakes podcast to the different, pretty much any show except for Live Before Lock is going to be out there. So yeah, it's pretty good, but we're going to get right into the games here. Doesn't look like we have any major weather issues today. I see that. Let me get my one screen. Oh, we did get the St. Louis lineup. So we do have all lineups in for today's action. So on DraftKings, you've got 10-game slate. Let's double check FanDuel. FanDuel also a 10-game slate. So obviously no Coors Field game. Everybody is including the Texas game because that is going off at 2:35 Eastern. All right, Gun, I'm going to turn you loose here. We have San Francisco in Washington. The Giants struggling to score runs despite being very popular from their Cincinnati series all the way here to the Nationals. We got a couple home runs here and there, but we have Mackenzie Gore on the mound. Is Gore on the short list for pitchers for you tonight? And what do you like from this game?
Yeah, this is one of those medium days for pitching. There's a couple guys with high upside, but it certainly feels like this isn't one of those Strider days where I can focus, 30-40% on a couple guys. And we talked about it before we went live. The dog days are live, so we've seen scoreboards up, we've seen temperatures up, so nobody's safe. And I think Mackenzie Gore certainly has a good enough shot to be one of the pitchers that will service your lineups at 8,300 on DraftKings. That's a really soft landing for somebody that has a good chance to kiss 20. We got him a 16% chance on DraftKings to be a top two optimal pitcher. You mentioned the Giants. Yeah, when they were in a really hitter-friendly park, they were able to put up some runs against left-handed pitching this season, just an 89 WRC plus with a 1-in-4 K rate. So I think Mackenzie Gore definitely has a puncher's chance. He's certainly not somebody that would be like in my top 8, 5.1 expected ERA on the season, but the strikeout rate is high enough at 27.5% that probably has some shares in my back pocket. Like I said, we have him at 15% chance of being a top 2 pitcher versus 21% ownership, so probably some negative leverage there. I won't be near the field on that ownership. I'd probably be closer to the probability of top 2 that we have them, and it's strictly because of the $8,300 price tag. I think the risk reward is worth taking a shot at.
All right, Nationals looked pretty good yesterday. Played at 10 Very exciting there. I should have worn one of my Nationals hats. You guys can see him behind me over there on the closet door hanging up. We've got CJ. Who is it? CJ Abrams has been on fire. He's hitting home runs. He's stealing bases. He's 2,900 on FanDuel, 3,300 on DK. It is lefty here going against what looks to be an opener here for the Giants, so probably getting a bullpen game here. They probably will put out one of their swingmen for 2 or 3 innings, maybe even 4.
I saw Disco Stu looking like the long man today.
Okay, Anthony Desclafani. Excellent. So are you going to any of the Nationals? Because the lineup tails off rather dramatically towards the bottom there.
Yeah, Nationals always make a Substack candidacy for me. Them and the Guardians, right? Like I never feel comfortable with 5 of them. But there's a couple names I can get behind. You mentioned Abrams been on a tear. I love the fact that he's leading off. And maybe like some Joey Meneses, guys like that. I rarely ever get to like more than 3. So I'll get to probably some Substack shares, but no onslaughts.
All righty, let's continue along here. We've got several things to do. Oh, it's your Yankees. It's your Yankees coming up, Gun. We've got Jordan Lyles, bringer of the home runs, going against Luis Severino, who has not been very good this season. Both teams are, I guess, in play until you start looking at the Royals lineups. Wow, that's a debacle of a lineup. Pretty much 5 through 9 is pointless. For the Yankees, missing a couple of their former MVPs on the injured list. I notice your assessment is they may not win the World Series this year. You still think they're going to get there, right?
At this point, I don't know if we make the playoff. And it triggers me because now everyone's put all these mock trades for Ohtani. I'm like, no, don't trade nothing. This season's done. Let's go. Yeah.
Oh, good times. What do you want to do here? Because when Jordan Lyles is on the mound, you got to look at the other team.
Yeah, bats in play here, and I think the Royals, if it wasn't for the fact that they feel so flat on paper, Severino's not been Severino. Just a 9% swing and strike rate this season, 17% K rate, 1.7 WHIP, almost a 7 expected ERA. I mean, you take the name out of those stats, and he's worse than Jordan Lyles. So I always say bad hitting beats bad pitching. So if Severino doesn't bring it, maybe you get some surprises from this Royals team. This is not Kauffman Park, Yankee Stadium. You get a couple short porch jobs. MJ Melendez, Salvi Perez, Bobby Witt. He's overly aggressive. Got him in trouble yesterday with that Garrett Cole bunt. So I think they're substackable, kind of like the Nats, just because Darren Blanco and Nick Prado never feel ultra comfortable, but man, Severino's got to earn it. And speaking of Severino, I think a lot of people have been pressing the plus button next to pitchers against the Royals. Severino is projected for 27% ownership, and I hate to dog my boy, is my favorite pitcher. But man, I don't know if that ownership versus his production and his advanced metrics are something that I want to be with the field on. So I think I might cut that to a third. Grab some shares of the Royals. I do like the Yankees offense against Jordan Lyles. Lyles certainly serves up some homers, especially against lefties. Giancarlo Stanton's looking a little bit more locked in lately. A couple of long shots lately. Rizzo been kind of slow out the gate. I love the fact they're leading off with Jake Bauers. So yeah, I'm getting down with some Yankees here. I'll probably get to a full 5-stack Yankees, 3-stack Royals, and maybe 10 to 12% shares of Sevy just because he's 7,200, and maybe 14 fantasy points is enough to get you in there on a slate with the pitching laid out like this.
It's one of those sites where I last night my assessment was, this is going to be great. There's plenty of pitching. And then you start breaking down the matchups and you start crossing off quite a few players. You're like, well, it didn't look quite, Cleveland, are they going to get enough are they going to offer up enough strikeouts for Nola? Jesus Luzardo, we're good with him. Just don't focus too much on his most recent games. There's all of a sudden it's like a lot of question marks. Bailey Ober is someone I like a lot. Lucas Giolito, but that's more about their matchups. And then things dramatically go off the shelf. We've got Luke Weaver and Julio Teheran today. facing some really good offenses. No Coors Field, but it's like we have 2 Coors games with those guys on the mound. So we got a lot to continue talking about here. I'm coming back over because I set up my crunches here and I'm running them. So I also went under with Severino. I capped him at 20. Okay. We're looking at like 28%, and I'm getting it just becomes a price thing because I'm getting a ton of him, Taj Bradley, and Mackenzie Gore. So those guys are basically $1,000 apart. And what is happening is I'm not getting to the likes of Lucas Giolito, Bryce Elder, etc. So I may have to tweak some of my ownership caps here for the pitchers to kind of force it to spread out a little bit more, because today feels like one of those days where if you capture some of the more random combinations, you may do better in tournaments, because I think I'm joking, but I'm not entirely sure. It feels like they juiced the baseball coming out of the break. So over the last week, we have had a lot of home runs and some random scores from, like Logan Allen and just pitchers. You're like, wow, they didn't give up any runs. And then the people you expect. I mean, Kevin Gausman gave up 2.2% of his career home runs yesterday to the Mariners. 4.
Love that.
That is crazy. So conspiracy theory hat on. I know you love the conspiracy theories, Gun. But
that's a conspiracy theory. I do not. I don't know. I will say, like, if you feel like you're going to get backdoored into more Sevy than you feel comfortable pre-flop, at least in 4 of his last 5 games, you've seen his swing and strike rate be above 11%, but he's still struggling throwing strikes consistently, and the contact rates are through the roof. So I want a little bit more whiff, but I agree that 7,200, when you hit crunch, that might drop a little bit more than you're ready for pre-flop. But the field being close to 30% makes me feel like that's a strategic diversion.
Yeah, that's what I'll probably do is I'll uncheck him for some of my lineup builds here as I start to create my preferred stacks. All right, let's see. That wraps up that game here. So let's continue along here. Colorado at Miami. You've got, as we mentioned, Jesus Luzardo on the mound. He is going against Ty Black. No reason to Roger to roster Ty, but let me look at my notes here for Luzardo. So my notes here say he rates out as the best pitcher in the player pool. 25-year-old is taking things up a notch after last year's breakout. He has allowed 2 or fewer runs in 13 of his 20 starts. You have no CJ Cron and no Chris Bryant. They're dealing with some injuries, so they're not in the lineup today. Cron was out yesterday with the back, and Chris Bryant is dealing with the forearm injury. I'm really liking this one. Miami is almost minus 300 favorites on the money line here. Is there anything you can knock against Luzardo here?
I mean, the only knock is ownership in DFS. We got him at 50% over on DraftKings. But otherwise, if you just made a checkbox of stuff you would like, Pitchers Park, a bad team missing their best lefty masters. I mean, they already have a 69 WRC plus as a team. This is a great spot for Luzardo. Dog Days of Summer says he's going to get shellacked, but man, the pool is shallow. I think at 50%, I don't. This is not the spot I get cute. I'll get cute at ownership when it doesn't make sense or when it's a pitcher that hasn't been good, like Severino. All things equal, Luzardo has been one of the best pitchers on the slate if you just isolate him, and then everything else included the Pitcher Park, the matchup. I think this is a spot where I'm willing to eat some chalk and give away some other chalk.
So normally I've gotten back into playing cash games. I like playing the $10 or the $25 single entry double up over there on DraftKings just to kind of see where everybody lands. I enjoy cash games for and I'm really only playing that one. I'm not posting head to heads, but I like making sure when I like seeing that I have unique lineups in it, because every now and then you'll just coalesce with what everybody else is doing, and most people are just running various optimals from their projection systems, and that's usually not how I usually don't do it that way. But if I was playing today, my Luzardo is my number 1 pitcher, Bailey Ober is number 2, and I'm willing to forego the $2,000 salaries to get up to him, because there's a couple cheap hitters out there that are just going to make everything possible for you. And I'd rather spend on over in the matchup than roll the dice with Taj Bradley. Who else? Sorry, I might get back to my filter here. So I was on the short list was Taj Bradley, Mackenzie Gore. I don't want to go with Severino just because that feels wrong. So I'm willing to pay quite a premium there for Bailey Ober. And that is something I wasn't expecting. But what will happen in that case, a lot of people end up with most people will have Luzardo, but a lot of people will end up with the next best point per dollar pitcher doing it this way. And I found I can create a little safer differentiation in these contests. But there gets to be a lot of lineup overlap in these, even with the single entry. What do you think about the bats here? Is there anything you like from the Marlins side of things?
Yeah, I mean, Ty Block, did he? I think he was on the Giants. I remember him against Stanton many moons ago. I'm like, this guy's still around. Ty Block is bad. Right? He's a contact pitcher with almost a 2 whip. At 13 innings, maybe it stretches out a little bit, but even last year in 44 innings, 1.4 whip, 15% K rate, he's gonna allow you to make some contact. And I know his ground ball rate is high, but it's not like 60-70%. He has a line drive rate to both sides of the play right now at 30%. So I do think there is a chip in the chair for at least Jorge Soler. This 400 plus ISO against lefties since the beginning of last year. You're just gonna dare him to put the ball in play against a guy like Block. Yeah, I want a piece of that. And maybe we get to a substack. But if you just had a lineup and you won off the 2-hole Soler against the Rockies and their bullpen, I think I'd be fine with that. But otherwise, this park's certainly not one that I run after. But almost 5 run total for the Marlins isn't nothing.
No, and that. It's the park, that's really keeping me away, is what it comes down to. If they were in Great American, or if they were in, pick an AL East park, I think I would be looking to the Marlins. I can't get there today. One-offs I'm okay with, but man, Soler hasn't done much for a couple weeks. Can leave that one.
Oh, is this Sean V on the show with me? I thought it was EMac. Couple weeks, he hasn't done his due, bro. Come on,
the due factor. Well, I mean, it was pointed out in chat that CJ Abrams did home run on his bobblehead night.
Okay, all right. Wait, so did I wake up in 2017? What is happening?
Hold on, let me call BVP. I'm going to search that. Okay. MLB players' birthdays. Let's see if anybody has birthdays today. Jesus, because this is what people really want to understand. So nobody active has a birthday today.
Okay.
Tub Welch was born on this day in 1886.
Bro, old baseball names are the best names. I don't know what happened to where now we got normal names, but let's go back to Langston Arnold Doyle or whatever.
King Brockett.
Yeah.
King Brockett, 1880. Ginger Beaumont. Sport McAllister. Those are some good names. Cy Freed.
Okay.
Not bad. Horace Ford.
There you go. Horace Ford. That's.
Oh, and my personal favorite, Dallas McPherson. There we go. No relation. Doesn't spell it right. Got to get with the MAC. Alrighty. Back to our task at hand. So Aldo Jesus Luzardo, I capped him at 45%. It's coming in at 42. I want it to be just a little bit below the field, looking for some differentiation, but he is your main cash game option today. On to our next game here, Tyler Wells against the Rays. I don't want to take Tyler Wells in DFS. I do want to wager on him for his over 4.5 strikeouts. We have him projected for about 5.3. Is what I was looking at today. So he looks decent on that. If you look at Odd Shopper, one of the stochastic sister sites, you will see that his true odds are closer to minus 160. So it's like if you can still get that number at minus 130, it's like almost an 11% discount. So that's something that is very important to help keep building your bankroll and not frittering funds away. I was going for some alliteration there, Gun. I knew you would appreciate that. Okay. Frivolously frittering away your funds.
How now, brown cow?
There we go. Jet fuel don't.
Whoa! Hey! Okay.
Back to the conspiracy. That was my favorite show you ever did with me this week.
I forgot about that. Yeah, I was. Hey, Tyler Wells might be a click for me, man. I know.
Okay, sell me on it, because I put my hard-earned cash on him getting 5 strikeouts today.
So if you look at his game, like, oh man, he's only throwing 80 pitches. If it weren't for the fact that he was getting melted there by the Dodgers 2 innings, and I know the games before the 80 pitches, but I think it's just because he was getting through 6 innings and they were yanking him. He can probably have up to 100 bullets here, 5-6 pitches, and he can still get some strikeouts. 25% K rate on the season, a sub-1 WHIP, the 11.1% swinging strike rate, the almost 17% call strike rate. The Rays in Tropicana, still a pitcher-friendly park, can be better than Baltimore, and there are some strikeouts in this Rays lineup. I'm not saying he's a smash click here, but I do think he's got a decent enough shot to, smack 20 fantasy points for our lineups today. Our tools are giving him a 9.2% chance of being the top 2 scoring pitcher on DraftKings at 1% ownership. That's 7+% leverage, one of the better positive leverage scores on the day. So if you're looking to lynch onto the Jesus Luzardo ownership and want to differentiate, Tyler Wells could be that guy for me. I'm not saying he's a clear lock of the day here, but I do think the probability and ranges of outcomes versus ownership, there's more pluses for him than the naked eye might think.
Interesting. Okay, I'll buy it. Still not clicking on him.
Okay,
but I'm okay with it. Tampa Bay slightly coming back to earth with their offense. In Atlanta has far surpassed everybody at this point, but Tampa Bay still a tricky lineup. No easy outs in that lineup is essentially what it comes down to. But you can get some strikeouts there towards the back end, and that was what I really liked about this particular iteration of the team. How are you feeling about Taj Bradley? He is worthy of consideration for your SP2 in cash games. 7,600 there on DK. Baltimore struggling, maybe not the right word, but they're in the doldrums at the moment. A lot of youngsters in this lineup. They've kind of emptied the cupboard. They've called pretty much everybody up. You got Colton Cowser up there. Henderson, Rushman, the couple pitchers. So they're this is the battle for the AL East.
Okay.
I say that lovingly to my Yankees friend here.
Yeah,
but
it hurt a little bit.
It's a little bit of a bark.
First step is admitting. I think he's playable. He's almost a $2,000 discount towards his opponent, Tyler Wells here. It definitely has the strikeout ability in him, a 30.6% carry rate on the season, 3.4 Sierra. There's a lot of positives here. The Orioles haven't been my favorite team to pick on, but I think points per dollar and matchup in park, all things considered, Bradley definitely makes some sense. I think he's a little bit uncomfortable ownership-wise at 37%. That's going to be second to just Jesus Luzardo, but certainly checks off enough boxes that I want him in the pool. I might get to like 24%, get a little bit leverage back. I'll take the Luzardo chalk, but I do think the Orioles are still more competent than the Rockies. So I'll take some of it, but it's more of a price play, kind of like Sevy, where it's like, man, 7,600 gives me some cushion for a couple of meatballs.
Do you have the bomb detector set up for the day?
I do. I haven't put like the last 3 games left, but I didn't know if we have do we have ad
where
reads?
is Santander? Where is Santander coming up today?
Santander.
Because he loves to hit home runs on Sundays. True fact.
What?
I think he has home runs on his last 3 Sundays, right?
Oh my God.
You missed it last weekend. I wore my What Would Sean V Do t-shirt.
Jesus. He's got a
Sean V, not Jesus. Sean V.
Oh no. Jesus was smack dingers. You already know, especially on Sunday. Oh, come on. 3.67 on the detector. Whenever I'm not, damn fired. We're making Jesus jokes. 111 WRC play. Yeah, I got a 3.67 rating on the bomb detector, which is the magic number is 4, so it's not anything fantastic.
Okay.
And Bradley does not really give up a lot of bombs to lefties, 0.51 home run per 9, which is kind of weird because it's not like he has a massive ground ball rate or soft.
No, which I don't understand why he does not giving up home runs. It just the math doesn't. Pardon me. The underlying metrics say he should be giving up more than he does.
Yeah,
that's
especially on Sunday, right?
Well, I mean, yes, of course, Sunday. All righty. Continuing along here, we have. I'm about ready to upload my lineups, but let's talk about this offensive environment here. An 11 implied run total. You've got Arizona with 5.7 implied run total in the Great American Ballpark. You've got the Cincinnati Reds, 5.6 implied run total. Former Arizona Diamondback Luke Weaver is on the mound. I tried to find something nice to say about Luke Weaver, and it just didn't happen, Gun. It is frightening. My assessment is the only reason he's in the Cincinnati rotation is because Nick Lodolo and Hunter Green are hurt. That's it. I would not be surprised to see him designated for assignment when those guys are back. That's how bad he has been. He turns 30 at the end of August. This is the worst season of his career, which is hard to do when you have 4 other seasons with a 5.6 or worse ERA. This year, 7.2 ERA, 5.9 FIP, 5.74 xERA, a career low 7.6 strikeouts, a career high 2.3 home runs per 9, and he's allowing 5.5 extra base hits per 9 innings. Gun.
That's a new one to me. I didn't. What? That's like old school, new school.
Extra base hits per 9?
Yeah. What the heck?
I mean, you could look at WOBA, you could look at ISO, but we throw those terms around just a bit much. Barrel rate. No, tell me how many extra base hits he's going to give up today. If he gives up less than 4 extra base hits, I will be sad.
There must be a betting market for that. If there's
you can find it. It's not a regular market.
Okay, it's
the rock paper scissors. You got to call up Sal down at the pizza joint, and he will make a market for extra base hits.
He's a dream weaver, man. A lot of bad pitching, a lot of great offensive upside in the Great American Ballpark. The best home run hitting park, 144, so 44% better than average. And like you mentioned, the Giants have been sleeping giants everywhere else, but they get through a series with the Reds and that pitching staff, and there's a lot of stuff going the right way for the D-backs here. So I'm with the offense here. This will probably be a pretty trendy spot to attack. The Arizona Diamondbacks have our top percent or optimal percentage, 11.2% on DraftKings, but actually just a 10% ownership share. So I'm kind of a little surprised by it. I'm happy with that. Sometimes you see the double-digit top stack guys reach 18, 20%. So I like the ownership opportunity there. I don't mind going a little bit above and beyond. And then inversely, the Cincinnati Reds, 8% chance of being a top stack with a 6% ownership share. So this is a game that projects well, and it's not uber super chalk, at least from what I'm looking at now. So I'm definitely bats only, not touching pitching, not even if there's a fire.
No, there's no. I mean, you don't have to cross these guys out, but they just say no to the pitching. The optimizer's not even picking them up. I cap everybody at 3% that I don't like, just out of curiosity. Unless you crank the randomness way up, these guys aren't going to show.
8 million% random.
Something along those lines. If you were picking your 3 best hitters from each side to build stacks in this game, who would they be?
From the D-backs, give me Christian Walker, Lourdes Gurriel, a little dongo on I guess I can't skip Corbin Carroll, but the bond detector likes that 4, 5, 6 really, really a lot. But Corbin Carroll is clearly the best player on the red side. I guess give me Ella De La Cruz, Matt McClain, Jake Fraley.
Jake Fraley, interesting. Okay. Okay. Greg likes to point out that Ellie De La Cruz
Due
is
for regression. Yeah.
in the midst of it.
Mhm. I mean, he's not wrong.
He's not. But Ellie De La Cruz reminded me. You remember when Yasiel Puig came up and like that first week he was doing like laser throws from the outfield, hitting home runs, all that. Just felt like, oh my God, this guy is just amazing. That's kind of what Ellie De La Cruz feels like at this point. So we shall see. All right, a little bit of pitching in our next one here, Gunn. We've got Aaron Nola, well, one-sided pitching going against Xavier Curry, who, yeah, I don't know how he's 8,900 on DK. That just
their algorithm it considers how cool the name is.
Well, the name with that, just right next to the logo of the Guardians does look pretty. It's pretty futuristic. It's pretty cool. But at this point, I'm saying no to the Guardians on anything. Where do you rate Nola in going against Luzardo
here? So we go back to those check boxes: park, quality of opponent, and strikeout upside. I think Luzardo gets the tail of the tape is all Luzardo. And ownership reflects that 6% projected ownership for Nola versus a 17% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. I think a lot of people are tired of pitching against the Guardians. It's not that they will hit homers off of you. It's death by paper cuts. They just don't strike out. In today's lineup, just David Fry, Cam Gallagher are the only 2 bats that struck out over 20% since the beginning of last year against righties. So if Nola's going to go out there and get those strikeouts, it's going to have to earn them. And you feel like at 11K, I'll just click Luzardo because it's more warm and fuzzy. So I understand the natural sentiment here. Thankfully, like if the roles were reversed here and Nola was like 25-30% owned, I'd be like, yeah, but they don't strike out, so I'm gonna let the field have that. Well, now I'm strong armed to being on the uncomfortable side here. And at 6%, I think I'll gladly take that. At least that 16% chance of being a top 2. So absolutely. Want to get to some Nola. He grades out as the highest positive leverage play on DraftKings for us, 10% positive leverage. You get to double digits for an 11K player. I'll take it. So I do think Luzardo wins the checkbox battle, but Nola's ownership is too low to not grab some shares.
How are you feeling about the hitters?
So how does Nola fail? 1.6 homer per 9 to righties, 1.38 to lefties. J-Ram, Naylor, 2 guys for me. Inversely, Curry, as cool as his name is, the almost 5 expected ERA, the low strikeout rate, the high line drive rate, and elevated hard contact rate. It's a good spot for your big swingers, the Schwarbers, the Harpers. I think we get to some Philly stacks. Looking at the top stacks tool, Philly's grayed out at 6% chance to be the top stack versus a 7% ownership. So some negative leverage, but not enough to run and hide from. So give me some Phillies. Give me some Nola. And I don't even think I get the sub stack in Guardians today. And I don't even have to leverage stack versus the field because he's not owned. So Guardians, if J-Ram falls into a one-off like a Jorge Soler, so be it.
All right, we're on to our next exciting spot here. We've got the 2:00 games. Atlanta in Milwaukee taking on the Brewers. Did you see the debut of Sal Frelick last night?
Yeah, that made some waves on Twitter. Great name.
Couple catches, great name. Parents, well, not his mom just had to stay home and take care of the dog, but his dad and his brothers were at the game. Mom's going to be there today, and they decided that while his bust is being created for Cooperstown, they're putting him in the cleanup slot today. Gun.
Hey man, got lightning in a bottle, man. See if it'll strike twice. But his 328
game-winning sacrifice fly, technically in the 8th inning, but it was the go-ahead sacrifice fly. He was everywhere last night.
When I updated my numbers this morning, Sal Frelick has a 328 WRC plus against righties. So, hey man, that's legendary stuff right there. And he's bare bones made on DraftKings. Seems like a lock of the century, bro.
I mean, it has to be. It has to be. But let's cover Julio Teheran first, because that's what everybody wants to hear. So Teheran has I don't know how he's even in the league. He pitched his way out of the league in 2020 and 2021. He had like 5 appearances. I think it was for the Angels in 2020, and then he had 1 appearance. God, was it for like Detroit in 2021, and then he's just been out of the league pitching in the I think it was in the Mexican League for a while, played some winter ball. He's back, surprisingly. 4.01 ERA over 9 starts, 51.2 innings. I have no idea how his ERA is that low. He should be giving up home runs today. Today he gets exposed by his former teams. The people are saying, is this a remember me game for Julio Teheran against Atlanta? No. This is a gift game. This is thank you for paying me all those years. Here, hit 3 home runs off me kind of game. What do you want to do with Atlanta? And thank you, Yahoo and DraftKings, for pricing their top 5 guys so expensive.
He can't keep getting away with this. Yeah, that ERA is wild. Yeah, I'm not pitching either pitcher. We get to Braves where you can get them. And you mentioned some of these sites are going to price you out. It's going to be pretty hard to want some Nola, Luzardo, and a Brave stack when your leadoff guy is 6,600, your cleanup guy is 6,400. So I think the price is going to make it a little bit tough. But because of that, ownership naturally has deflated. We got an 8% projected ownership on the Braves, with still an 11% chance of being a top 2 stack. So some positive leverage. You got to squeeze it, but there's a couple drops in there if you can make it happen. And maybe a 2K cleanup hitter for the other team helps alleviate some of that financial pressure. But yeah, I think it's natural to want to get to some Braves here. Might want to run a couple crunches, see what the lineups do look like with the Braves. I would imagine it would be some of those mid-tier pitchers we talked about. Maybe you get to the Sevys, the Mackenzie Gores, and hope that that they get close enough to 20 that you get that puncher's chance of success. So pricing's tough, but you're going to want to be there. I don't want 0 Braves, especially when they're single digit owned.
It's very hard to stack the 5 of them from the top. Now, what you can do is you can lock in their outfielders in Orlando Arcia, and you can get the back half of that lineup. So that is I did that last night, didn't work that well. I'm doing it again today. 3% of all my lineup totals, 3% are the back 4 in this lineup, because I'm just I want to go against Teheran with every fiber of my being today. So a little tricky to get the big boppers in there. Did bet a couple of them on the home runs today. I bet Christian Walker, I bet Matt Olson, and I bet Austin Riley, who is all of a sudden, that's all he does is hit home runs. What does he have, like 5 in the last week or something insane like that? It was a little harder to get to him in DFS, so I kind of went that route, and then I made a nice parlay of three of those top 5 guys for Atlanta for 2 base hits each, or pardon me, 2 bases, and I put in Olson and and Riley for RBI, so you can build out a nice little 20x parlay, same game parlay over there on FanDuel. How about Bryce Elder today? All-star Bryce Elder.
All-star. Let's see. So the Brewers rocking a 4.6 implied run total. So nothing crazy, actually lower than a team like the Marlins. Elder, $1.25 on the whip, 4.1 expected ERA. Where do we get DFS upside? Really not much. The ground ball rate's pretty high, especially the righties. So if I want to pick on him, clearly it's the greatest ball player ever with Sal Frelick, and then everyone else. I think I get to maybe substack or even one-offs on the Brewers here. Elder's one of those guys that doesn't instill a ton of want to click his name for DFS today, but also don't necessarily want to go out there and pick on him. Last 2 games, hasn't even got through 4 innings, kind of all over the road. 3 homers in his last 2 games, so maybe a couple leaks lately. But yeah, I think I'm just letting that be. Where Brewers fall, they fall, but not into pitching here.
All right. Let's give away some stochastic content here. Guys, go to stochastic.com/avatar. Download the Stochastic Avatar. Upload that to your DFS site of choice. Finish top 3 in any contest with at least 5,000 people. No ties. No, don't dupe me, bro. As one Pete Overzet likes to say, don't dupe me, bro. No ties. But finish first, second, or third. Tweet that screenshot with the Stochastic logo visible to Stochastic HOF on Twitter, and you will get 30 days of Stochastic premium content. You can read all the fine print over there at stochastic.com/avatar. But pretty way to go. And we'd like to celebrate wins, large or small. So if you have a nice night, send a screenshot. Show us what's up. Lofty will put you in the Stochastic Hall of Fame if it's good enough. And I'm sure it will be. What do we have? Wow, we got a lot of people watching today. 600. That's pretty good. Let's hit that like button. Only 100. We can easily get to 150. Because if we get to 100, that's the ISO for all of your hitters today.
Yeah,
100 ISO.
Oh, damn, we need 200, 250, bro. Y'all stop playing around with our money, man. We trying to make money. God damn it. All
right. So let's go on. We got 3 more games. We're going to talk about the lineup generator. I got my lineups uploaded, so let's have some fun. Next game, we've got Lucas Giolito and Bailey Ober. Ober is my number 2 pitcher of the day. He, again, if I was playing the cash games, which I'm not, but I would be pairing him with Luzardo and using, Sal Frelick as one of the $2,000 cheat codes to make that happen. Where are my notes? I closed out my notes. I'm turning this one over to you, Gunn. Talk to us about Giolito. Is he going overlooked today?
Yeah, let's see. So overlooked versus ownership. Giolito is coming in at 10% ownership, 15% chance to be in the top 2 optimal. So yeah, 5% positive leverage. That's fourth on the board in terms of positive leverage. So mathematically, yes. And then just matchup wise, Twins on the season, 27% K rate against righties. You look at today's confirmed lineup, only Max Kepler has a sub 20% K rate against righties since the beginning of last year. There's a lot of 30%. It's Julian, Buxton, Matt Wallner, Ryan Jeffers, Michael A. Taylor, all 27 or greater percent strikeout rates against righties. And then Giolito has that 25% K rate this season, and he's been steady Eddie with the K rate. So I definitely think there's some strikeout potential here. So sure, you got to deal with that 4.46 expected ERA, that 10% barrel rate, walk the tightrope. But with the leverage being on your side in terms of ownership versus probability of success, yeah, I think I'm getting to some Giolito. 9,600 is going to be in the mix for me. So yeah, get to some Giolito.
So here's not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 hitters for the White Sox today have a sub 102 ISO since the beginning of last year against right-handed pitchers.
Joe Girardi once said, "Great philosopher. That's not what you want. It's not what you want."
No, it's not. It's not. Yikes. So what do we know about Ober? Well, he's striking out 25% of his batters faced this year. That's pretty good. Better than last year, which was 23. This projected lineup over the last 2 years has a 26% strikeout rate and just a 130 collective ISO. Yes, Luis Robert, Eloy Jimenez, they're pretty good. Jake Berger, he could always run into one. There's strikeouts up and down this lineup. That's why you make Ober your number 2 pitcher in cash games. If you were going to target Ober, what is his weakness?
1.52 homer per 9 to righties, a 58% fly ball rate, 37% hard contact rate, the 9.2% barrel rate. So I would look for a right-handed slugger. So Luis Robert, Eloy Jimenez, and Jake Berger. I didn't spill my beer. Those are 3 guys. So there's your Substack.
All right, which I have done because I have so much Ober, and the 2.74 ERA looks pretty damn good, but that's a new plateau this year. So I'm just a little nervous, putting all the eggs in the basket. Continuing along here, 2 to go. I'm going to show the lineup generator here after these games. We'll have some fun. Gundacker, you can talk about the bomb detector. But in the meantime, we're looking at the St. Louis Cardinals and the Chicago Cubs. Jordan Montgomery, I wish he was 8,000, not 8,700. Jameson Taillon is just no bueno anymore here. The Cardinals in general just are not having a good year. First time in 20 years they're not going to make the playoffs or something crazy like that. What do you want to do with the Redbirds today? Because Montgomery is looking like a candidate to be a tournament pitcher, SP2.
Yeah, a little division rivalry out there in Chicago. Two Yankee legendary pitchers going at it. I'm definitely more inclined to get behind some Cards bats here. On the season, still a 112 WRC plus offensively. It's kind of befuddling that they're struggling the way that they are in terms of standings, but offensively, we still got some talent here. A lot of it's in the top of the order. Donovan Newbar, Nolan Arenado, all a combined, probably an aggregate 130 WRC plus between the three of them against righties since the beginning of last year. So I like that. It does fall off a cliff after that, right? This isn't a Goldschmidt version of the lineup. You get to Tyler O'Neill in the 4 spot. He's pop or strikeout. And then Burleson, Ivan Herrera, Dylan Carlson, Taylor Motter. What? He's back? Minus 21 WRC plus is what I'm looking at. I didn't know that was possible.
He broke it. He actually broke it.
And Paul DeYoung in the 9th spot. So it falls off a massive cliff, but 1 through 3 certainly substack, and then Tyler O'Neill. I'd mix that in there as your 4 guys to target. And then, yeah, you mentioned Montgomery, right? He's always been a good real pitcher. The strikeout rates, they'll spike on a good day, 22% on the season, probably about 22% last 3 years combined. And this Cubs team can give you some strikeouts. Just Horner, Suzuki, and Yan Gomes sub 20% carry against lefties at the beginning of last year. So some strikeout potential, but I do think this Cubs team is better, at least scrappiness, hit for average wise against lefties than I would love. So I'm not warm and fuzzy like you said. If he was a little bit cheaper, I'd probably fall into a little bit more, but I'm still gonna have some Monty and then Taillon. I just did your man. God dang, I hate when I don't want to stack a team, but I don't want to play the pitcher because I'm just like, well, make a decision, gun. But this is kind of that situation. That bottom half of that Cardinals lineup is not what you want.
So July for Jameson Taillon. He had 2 crappy starts, 9 runs, 7 earned combined in 10.2 innings against Washington and Cleveland, 2 of the worst offenses in the league. But he actually shut out the Yankees for 8 innings.
Jesus. Why?
That was a remember me game. I didn't think that was allowed.
This is a remember me show. EMac, good Lord, bro.
I'm just getting a little something stuck in your car there, so you're ready for the big wrestling match tonight. Right. Just getting the blood, just start to get the blood to simmer
when my music hits tonight. I'm remember what you just said, and then my opponent's gonna look like Jameson Taillon.
So what is the deal with Taillon? He's not as bad as we've seen this year. But he's in the wrong side of 30 now. Was a forever prospect. Never quite put it together with the Yankees. Had moments. Has always had moments, even dating back to his Pirates days. But it seems like the moment is lost.
Yeah, it's kind of like the right-handed Jordan Montgomery, where he strike out, maybe 1 in 5, 1 in 4 on a good day, get through some innings here, and then he just hasn't been. He's average, right? Perfectly average, not above. Barely below some days, so not really warm and fuzzy. But hey, man, if you think average pitching could be below average hitting, maybe at 6,500, that's the price of one of your Braves bats. Going to give you a home run score, a RBI double out of that, possibly. And he does perform exponentially better against righties the last 2 seasons. Heck, this year alone is 6.13 xFIP to lefties with a 3.59 xFIP to righties. There's 4 lefties in this lineup. The top 2 are the ones that you're scared of. Maybe there's a puncher's chance that 6,500 can glue together some Brave stacks, but there's no warm and fuzzies behind that.
All right. We did not get to 150 likes, so I've been informed I have to do another read. Get us to some likes. So there's gonna be some reads coming up here. But this is actually a good one for you. I'm gonna drop the link into YouTube chat. That is the link that will get you over there to BetMGM. If you sign up through BetMGM using our link or the promotional code Platinum Sub, create your account coming in on our link or using that promo code. Make your first $10 wager. As soon as that settles, they're going to give you a coupon code that gets you 30 days of Stochastic Plus Premium. All you got to do when you want to redeem that is go over to the Stochastic subscription page, choose the 30-day full package option. Fantasy Cruncher is a separate add-on. Put in that promo code. It'll make it $0. Enjoy. But what is fun about BetMGM is your first wager, you get bet back, bet insurance up to $1,000. So say your first wager is $10 and you lose, they're going to give you a $10 bet credit. Say you lose, it's $100. They're going to give you a $100 bet credit. Say you put in $1,000 and you lose, they're going to give you $5 $200 bet credits. How do I know that? Because I lost my promotional bet gun. I clawed my way back. I'm back to break even though. Thank you to the bet insurance, but check that out over there. Remember that the legal age for gambling in most states is 21, and if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text a 1-800-GAMBLER. Final game of the slate here, Gun. Dodgers, did they leave any runs for today? Well, they put up 16 yesterday. Now they're going against Martin Perez. I don't really want any part of Martin Perez. I don't really want any part of the Dodgers, though, because Martin Perez does a pretty good job of inducing a lot of ground balls. It tends to avoid the crooked numbers, but it's a pretty good Dodgers lineup here. Ultimately, I stacked a few of the Dodgers as a secondary stack, but that's all I got to in this game. Texas, I had to force them into my lineups because I'm not exactly a fan of, who is it? Sheehan is the pitcher for the Dodgers. What do you got for our final game here?
Roof is going to be closed out there in Arlington, so it is a bump for pitchers. The Dodgers getting that 7.6% chance to be in the top two stack on the slate versus 6% ownership. A little bit of positive leverage in there. So maybe I want to use bet on talent. I get what you're saying. Historically, Martin Perez, just a ground ball guy, eats innings. If he gives up a couple singles, so what? He doesn't really give up a ton of bombs, but this season has been a little bit different. Almost a 2 homer per 9 to lefties. That one don't make sense. And then a 1.52 homer per 9 to righty. So he's definitely not immune to some pop, some power. So Mookie, Freeman, JD, and heck, even if we want to tap into these lefty on lefty splits, that funky Muncie might do some damage here. So I'll get to some Dodgers just because the field's not really there. But I don't want to pitch Martin Perez, and I'm not really there on Sheehan either. And then inversely, I'll get to some Rangers here. Sheehan, 17% K rate, 117 on the whip, 9.2% barrel rate. Certainly some bleedable numbers there. So give me both offenses. And then when it comes to the Rangers, in terms of leverage versus opportunity, 4.4% chance to be the top two team on the slate versus 7%. So you actually get a little bit of negative leverage there, but still in the single digits. And then price-wise, other than Marcus Semien, it's a pretty economically sound lineup in terms of pricing. But we do lose in this version of the lineup a lot of that big meat. From the Rangers. From Jesus, stop. Keep it together. There's no like Adolis Garcias in this lineup, so it's not the it's not the big version. Yeah, no, a little bit of Rangers, sub-stack Rangers, full stack Dodgers, no pitching. Good Lord, hit that thumbs up, chat. What are we doing? 200. Get to 200. Gosh, dang it.
Get to 200. Maybe we'll have Gundacker do one of his infamous impressions. But in the meantime, because we didn't get to 200 likes, let's talk about the lineup generator. Well, we're going to talk about it anyway because it's pretty awesome. But promo code SCORE gets you 50% off your first week. This is just $8.95 per week. After that, it's very, very helpful. I used it to the golf version to enter all my golf lineups in the Millie Maker for the Open this weekend. We're going to show you a little bit of the stacking options here. So we do this for just the main slates because it's resource intensive. So we just do whatever the sites designate their main slate. That's what we have. We'll click on DraftKings main. You can do all stack types. You can choose the 5-3 5-0 or 4-4. On FanDuel, you can go 4-4, 4-3, or 4-2-2. Let's do all stack types here for fun. You can then decide what type of lineup you want. Chalky, balanced, contrarian. Let's do chalky just to see what happens today. And you can lock in a pitcher. And you can lock in one hitcher. So let's just skip that for now. Let's see what happens. So it generates lineups. So you can decide down here at the bottom, do you like the lineup? Do you want to keep it? You hit save. It goes into a holding pen. It saves up to 20 lineups. And then you can download those and put them up in your DFS site of choice here. This is showing us that we got Luzardo and Severino. Now, remember, I mentioned I didn't really like Severino. Sorry, Gun. But say I love the rest of this lineup, I can choose to take Severino out. I can see doing some math that I have $600 left on my salary cap. That means I can go up to $7,800 for a pitcher and swap them out. So, ooh, look, Julio Teheran. We're not going to take him, but let's say I wanted Taj Bradley. I can put him in my otherwise beautiful lineup, and then I can hit save. Look, it's easy enough. And then it just gives me another lineup. Do I like it or not? Ooh, I kind of like this one too. Now we've got an Arizona stack, double stack here going with the Yankees. So look, easy peasy. Oh, let's say I don't like that one because it's got more Yankees, and who wants to roster Oswaldo Perez? So let's get rid of him, and now we have a new lineup. Look, discard. That just means it's forwarding along. So that's how the lineup cruncher works. It's a lot of fun. Save a bunch of these here. You can just click the view save lineups. You can see we've got 10 saved there. I download that, or I click that so I can see what it is. It breaks down my exposures, also stack exposures as well. It is counting double stacks here, so that is why this adds up to more than 100. But you can see that we're very heavy on Luzardo and Taj Bradley at this point. But if you want to go make some more lineups, we can click the Get More Lineups here. Let's say we don't want Taj Bradley. We can swap him out for somebody else, or we can lock in a pitcher that will probably avoid us getting more Taj Bradley. But you can play around with that. It's a lot of fun. It saves time, and it's not going to give you crappy lineups. We've weeded through all the crappy iterations of this, and it's only giving you what are expected positive value lineups that do have good correlation. Oh no, what if I use this and Gun uses this and we end up with the same lineup? Highly unlikely, because it's creating 10,000 plus lineups of each stack type. So what that means is, you get the Oswaldo Perez's, et cetera, that are 2% owned, and that is where you find differentiation. So even if Gun and I sat here and we both chose the same settings, and even if we locked in the same hitter and the same pitcher, we could probably build out 100, 200, 300 lineups before we'd ever duplicate across the board. But there we are. All right. What happens when I push this button? Ooh, it stops. Look at that. StreamYard. Not too bad. What if I push this big red button that says end broadcast? Well, we're gonna find that out in just a moment. But there we are, chat. Gun, what do you have? Who's at the top of the bomb detector today?
Sal Frelick, but that doesn't count. Jorge Soler. He is Jorge Soler is at the top. Mookie Betts, Dane Myers, Jake Bauers. So give me Jake Bauers for a bomb. Give me Soler for a bomb.
All right. I like the Christian Walker is probably my favorite.
Yeah, he's at the top of my park adjusted bomb rating.
Yeah, that I think is a good one. Who is popping from Atlanta?
Atlanta.
By the way, did you know that Austin Riley is tied the record for most consecutive games with the home run in Atlanta history at 5 with 2018's Ronald Acuna Jr.?
Matt Olson's at the top for me, but so that's a fun fact. And hey, I hate Austin. Hope he hits it.
All right. That's going to do it for us. You got 5 minutes till lock, but Gun's got to get on the road. He's got a big, important event tonight. Good luck in the squared circle tonight, Gun. I'm rooting for you. Oh
yeah. No, Twitter's going to break tomorrow.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. But with that, you can follow Gun on Twitter. Catch all of his wrestling exploits at Gundacker. You can follow me at EMac DFS. Of course, it is stochastic_COM. With that, gamers, good luck.